Kia ora whānau. I'm going to talk on, share our experience in respect to the Ohaki a Miriama Trust, or Ohaki a Miriama Papakainga, sorry, which was established by the Pirihima whānau Trust. The Ohaki a Miriama, literally the gift of Miriama, or Miriama's gift. You probably ask, well, who is Miriama? Miriama is one of our tupuna kuia in Ngā Pōtiki. You'll find a lot of our land trusts are named after women, after our great-great-grandmothers and kuias who, like the land, nurtured our people. So, how do I turn? Next, okay. Okay. So the Pirihima Whānau Trust administers Māori land interests. We have about 86 hectares of land. Just less, well, about 60 hectares is in forest, the rest is in, 2 hectares are in kiwi fruit, 1.8 of hectares in avocado, and the rest of it is wetlands. It's part of the original Papamoa block, which was confiscated by the Crown back in 1865, and but we managed to, our kaumātua managed to negotiate the return of some of these blocks, one of which was the Papamoa 2 block, with which the Pirihima Whānau Trust is part of. The question we always have is, how do we best utilise our land, which is being a limited resource, because we're not inventing any more of it, versus the huge increase of numbers of our trustees and our beneficiaries and owners. That this image up here, we're very good at growing grass, and that was the case for many years on this particular block. The only beneficiaries were actually the cows and the cattle. So 2 years ago we decided to enter the housing space, social housing space, and with a focus on kaumātua accommodation. And so over that, you'll notice that, that all that grass has been removed as part of the earthworks for a new development. I chair the Ngā Pōtiki post-settlement governance entity, which settled with the Crown in 2013. And we deliberately put together a housing strategy, 30-year one, 2013 to 2043, to develop and maintain, manage quality, affordable housing for the public, as well as Ngā Pōtiki whānau. One of our goals is to ensure that none of our Ngā Pōtiki whānau are ever homeless again, and that is one of the key drivers for us. The Papakainga, as you can see, the Papakainga itself is a partnership with the Ngā Pōtiki Tamapohore Trust, or the Ngā Pōtiki Post-Settlement Governance Entity, as well as Pirihima Whānau Trust. Thanks to the Ngā Pōtiki PSG being the developer, it was also accredited by Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment as a community housing provider, or CHIP, which allowed us to get access to funding. The Pirihima Whānau Trust provided 25% of the build price, Crown 75%, sorry, Pirihima 25% and the Crown 75%, as well as that we were required to provide some sort of what I call sweat equity. When the foundations went down for this for these little houses, I was quite horrified. I didn't realise they're going to be, you know, I thought they're going to be really small, and you'll probably get the impression when you look at the boxing there, you say, gee, my God, that looks like a dog kennel. But once the framing went up and the walls went up, we were pleasantly surprised that they were really roomy inside, compact, and and to ensure, or to bring the whole project to a successful conclusion, we established a project control group made up of the architects, engineers, whānau, who own the land, the builder, and from time to time the town planner. The value, of course, was to reduce the possibility of things getting out of control. So it was a risk management exercise. It ensured quality control. It ensured compliance with the social housing unit requirements, and it ensured a sort of communication between all parties to ensure that the project was completed on time and within budget, and it really worked well. So the residents, it's not long after that, the residents, after they were completed, the residents moved in. Mid-60s to 88, or 89, sorry. My mother just had her 89th birthday, so she's living there. All of the people, all of the residents in there insist on maintaining and retaining their independence. And didn't take long for this little papakainga to become a community. Some of the residents had been living in Auckland or Wellington for many years, and they returned home. And the great thing about that was that they carried a lot of childhood memories with them. So, and I suppose another way of referring to it is Tauranga Moana. They have been sharing a lot of the history, which they've sort of internalized over their lifetime, and which they share with others. Like, for instance, my mother, she wakes up in the morning in the knowledge that just below their whare, behind these houses, is the Waitara River, and as well as behind these houses, also Kopukaurua Maunga, Mangatawa Maunga, Pukekohatu, and all the other maungas that make up the Ngā Pōtiki cultural landscape. So so it gives expression to the sayings we have amongst our people here. A ko au te awa, ko te awa ko au, ko au te moana, ko te moana ko au, a ko au ngā pai maunga, a ko ngā pai maunga ki au. You know, I'm the river is me. I'm the ocean, and the ocean is me. And I'm the mountains, and the mountains are me. So they live there. They live in their culture. You know. Now you compare that with this. Okay. So you've got a whole lot of happy people here, and I suppose you want to know what the outcomes are and what the benefits are of this project. First of all, it's transformed the marae next door. We have a marae, these buildings here face the marae next door, and it's rejuvenised that marae, rejuvenated it. It's given, so the paipai, we have a paipai now, which is alive, I suppose. Got people who've missed out on the culture for many years by living away, are suddenly now part of the community. We've also leveraged off this project and other Ngā Pōtiki projects to enter into the trade training space. So we're one of the founder members, or key members, foundation members of the Māori and Pacifica trade training in Tauranga. And a lot of our young trainee apprentice carpenters have got experience on this project. And also other projects around the place. Like some of our other communities which have papakainga, It's resulted in a surge of people coming home, and also a surge in under 5-year-old children, or tamariki mokopuna. And so we're now moving into the early childhood space, or punereo space. So there's a whole lot of other benefits which fly off these housing projects. And I suppose at the end of the day, it also means revitalising our communities, or in the words of Professor Mason Jury, flourishing communities. So we have flourishing communities. And it's also given access to our people to lands that were once taken by the Crown back in 1864, 1865. And so we're settling parts of the rohe which was deprived from our forefathers and foremothers in those times. So there's been some really amazing benefits for everybody. And I think the most recent initiative which has been associated with this papakainga has been a marakai, which has been established. So we're getting back to the old community gardens or communal gardens, providing fresh fruit and vegetables to not only the residents but also to the wider Ngāpōtiki rural community. So that's as much as I can share with you at this stage. Unless there's any questions? No questions?
Tēnā koe, Colin. Look, thank you. We are going to spend about 5 minutes on questions. The ladies here are going to come around with the microphone. They're going to hold it right up to your mouth because I know unless it's karaoke, yous have got the mic right down here. So just ask your question to Colin and we'll get around to you.
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. In terms of our settlement lands, which have commercial value for us, we're moving into the development, residential development business. Okay, that's separate from building land on trust land, Māori owned, multiply owned land. So if you can distinguish that, I should have explained that earlier. Yeah. Settlement land is land we got back from our settlement with the Crown. And Victoria will be talking on that, on the commercial side of it. But in terms of our Māori-owned land, trust-owned land, it's only for Ngāpōtiki whānau beneficiaries of our karaua kuia. Ne? Yeah.
Kia ora. Just going on that, how did you work out which whānau were the ones that were going to get the spaces? I'd imagine there was a demand that outstripped the supply in the beginning. How did you deal with those?
Well, the interesting thing is that that wasn't really an issue because, one, there are very few, the kaumātua who live in these properties, in these houses, most of them came from outside of the area. They'd been living outside of the area. Because the locals, our local people are fine. They've got family homes, so it wasn't a big issue. In fact, we had to go and chase one or two people up to move in so they can pay the rent, and we could service the mortgage. You know.
Kia ora, Colin, Chris Stokes. Could you tell me, is this land part of the Marae Reserve? If so, is it non-rateable?
No, it's not part of the Morai Reserve. The Morai Reserve is next door. This is part of the Pirihima Whānau Trust land block. And it was used for grazing cattle for many years. Yeah.
Is it rateable? Do you have to pay rates on that land?
Sorry?
Do you have to pay rates on that land?
Yes, we do. Yeah, Pirihima does, yes.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. Could I ask how many houses were built and roughly what was the cost?
6 houses were built. The total cost, I think it was 850,000 for the total amount. Oh, 175. Oh, I'm sorry, 975. 75% of that was by Crown. We had to come up with 156,000, I think, if I remember correctly. So. And we're lucky that Pirihima Whānau Trust is in the kiwi fruit business, so we could afford to stump up with the cash.
Kia ora matua. Can I ask, did you partner with a housing company or a building company, and who were they?
We worked with ABC Homes. I think they're represented here by Tane Brott. Tane is Ngā Pōtiki. He's a co-owner of ABC Homes, and he started off as an apprentice, worked his way through, and now he's co-owner of a very successful building company. And that's one of our kaupapa, is to try and get our people into small business. So we encourage that and try and give them as many advantages as we can, so long as they can meet any contractual requirements, to the highest standard. There's no free lunches amongst us. You've got to work for it. So, yeah.